Hello, welcome. It is Friday night. Mm. Hope everybody's staying safe. Gonna try to do another sketch session today. I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish a sketch tonight. I am a little tired. Um, and at some point, I'd like to go over this book a little bit. But I guess we're going to have to hold off for now. Let's see. Tonight, I'm going to be doing a large sketch. Need to start on the pencils first, and I will probably finish inking at another time. 11 by 17. Oh, it's bent. This one's bent too. Okay. This is a cover. New Superman. Actually, give me a sec. I will be right back. Let me try out my new Be Right Back card. I'm going to grab another board, another pad. It's in the other side of the studio. Okay, I'm back. Let's see here. Thank you for staying. Get rid of this template here. So tonight we're using Strathmore Bristol smooth plate. So the consistency of Strathmore has been fairly disappointing as of late. This smooth plate used to be very shiny. Now it's dull. Tonight we're also going to be drawing on the back first. I think I've been having problems. Oh, okay. I'm not using, there's no light flicker. So we're good. Let me know if there's any kind of shuddering on the screen, and or if the volume of the mic needs to be turned up. Otherwise, again, bear with me. As the stream grows, so will the professionalism exhibited. But for now, you're gonna have to bear with me. Camera gets moved around. There. Oh. Okay, I'm just gonna quickly in the light box. Usually when I'm drawing comic book pages. Hi, my name is Bernard Chang. Gotta remember to include that in my intro. most recently I've been drawing X-Men Children of the Atom for Marvel. I was the regular artist on Teen Titans for DC Comics for about a year and a half, year and 3/4. Written by Adam Glass with my colorist partner in crime, Marcello Maiolo. I'm still doing covers for that book, as well as covers for Flash for DC Comics. See, now it's we got this moving lines thing, but got it done. So let's see. This is going to be, usually I like drawing on the back of the board. This is actually here's the top. So typically when I'm drawing, I can go flip back and forth, and you can actually check the degree of the drawing. Sometimes if you hold your drawing up to the mirror, you'll notice that it's kind of skewed. This way you can still kind of see this well, I think we're gonna have to do without that light. Yeah, kind of weird. All right, well, let's see. Let's make do with this one. Okay. So again, you can check the skewness of the figures. Sometimes, you know, your faces or your figures, the bodies might be a little off. Instead of waiting to take them into a mirror or holding it up to the mirror, if you have a light box, once you flip it, you can instantly check the drawing. I've been doing this technique for quite a long time. Learned it from my buddy Sean Chen, who is also another comic book artist. He's currently drawing Batman Beyond, but he's also very well known for drawing one of the longest tenure runs on Wolverine for Marvel Comics, as well as Iron Man. And Sean learned it from Chris Sprouse, who is a comics legend, one of our favorite artists. So make sure you guys check him out on Instagram, the Sean Chen. And speaking of which, Mr. Chen, thank you for showing up. It is kind of late on your time, but I think your drawing day just got started. Sean Chen Art at Instagram, and Chris Sprouse. I don't know Chris Sprouse's exact handle, but it's like Chris Sprouse Art or Chris Sprouse, SPROUSECE. Move my head if you can see that. Sean Chen. So tonight I think I'm going to do a Wonder Woman. I've got a Wonder Woman full figure sketch. There's actually a specific costume that was requested. I don't think I'm going to be able to finish it prior to. I think what's going to happen is I'm going to lock down the pose, the figure, and then save the inking for the next stream, maybe Sunday. There, I just increased the font size. Hopefully it's easier to read. What do you think? What if I change this to pink? Is this better? Nope. What about this? Nope. What about this? Okay. All right, let's see. Again, I like to draw on the back just so I can light box. But today, because of the lighting, I'm not going to be turning on the light box because it's giving that little thing on the screen. So maybe during the day, if I did it, it wouldn't be that. So, oh, bad habit. So I'm going to do a little... Wonder Woman heroic figure. Or more action posed. Crispy, good evening. Crispy egg roll. I got my usuals. This is like an episode of Cheers. Crispy rolls in, Sean rolls in. All we're missing is Ramlo, Mr. Ramlo, but Ramlo, I know Mr. Ramlo's asleep now. He's on the East Coast. Although Sean is on the East Coast, but Sean keeps vampire hours. Sean would actually make a very good Spider-Man or superhero in an alternate universe because he keeps insane hours and still manages to have a life during the day, but at night. Sean, has that staying up so late, all those hours, have they created any kind of physical ailments for you? I'm trying to coerce Crispy to, offer a gym a trade for Crispy. Maybe next year's first round pick, 2021 first round pick, 2022 second round pick, plus cash considerations and a washing machine. If you've seen that movie, Semi-Pro, Woody Harrelson gets traded for a washing machine. I mean, I remember when we were young, Sean and I started drawing comics at the same time. We'd be able to do all-nighters all the time. Sean would be working until 3 or 4 in the morning every night. And then the next day would be okay, physical. Back then I did not even drink coffee. Well, I did drink a lot of caffeine. I drank a lot of Diet Coke. I drank a lot of Diet Mountain Dew. I did not drink hardly any coffee. Nowadays, I drink a lot of coffee, no soda. Initially, when I did that, I lost a lot of weight, but the pounds have packed back on since the lockdown. I was just talking to a buddy of mine. We need to get back on the health train. Good evening, Mr. Joshua. How are you doing today? Mr. Joshua. Well, since we have the same gang back. Oh, something happened. Al Capone. I'm going to move my head. Ooh, thank you, Al Capone. Actually, you know what? I just mailed your sketch out today, too, everyone. So, Pratt prank stories. Yes, I do. That is true. Thank you for reminding me. Earlier on, I said tonight I might, depending on the crowd that we get, I might review a little bit of this book. I don't have the cover to this book because when I bought it back in 1991, I like this book so much. I took the cover off because it was a triptych, like a three-sided cover, and hung that on my wall as inspiration. But this book, Uncanny X-Men number 275. This obviously is newsprint. You can tell the difference. I mean, this is a modern day comic. Well, this is maybe a couple years old. You can see the difference in the paper stock. Right. The coloring, digital coloring. But this book was very inspirational for me. This is a Pratt story. It's not a Pratt prank story, but it's a Pratt story. But this was my freshman year in college. This book, the masthead says April 1991. I'm assuming back then the date was actually further out. So this book, I think, came out maybe a couple months earlier. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming this book came out, even though it says April here, I think it might have come out in February, March. And then because it had April, it allowed the newsprints, the stores, like the drugstores or the bookstores, to keep the books on shelf for longer. Once it reached its particular date, especially the newsprint ones, they would, destroy the cover and then pulp the inside of the books. This was back before direct market. I mean, there was also comic book stores. Comic book stores have the same book, but the cover would be slightly different. I think the UPC code would be on the back, whereas the newsprint, the UPC code would be on the front. So, for example, I don't have a copy here, but if you said like a Marvel comic, see now you see the UPC code. Before they would just have a Spider-Man head. Well, this is a DC comic, but in the Marvel version they would have a Spider-Man head down here, black and white. But in that space, the newsprint version would have the UPC barcode. So, Sean, that's for high-level subscribers only, and there's a lot of Pratt prank stories or Pratt stories. So this one, let's go back, finish it. I was in my freshman year at Pratt. I was studying architecture. I was playing on the basketball team. I was not really enjoying New York City that much. It was very different from Miami. Grew up mostly in Miami, Indiana, Taiwan. And the only thing I really liked about school was that I made the basketball team and I was playing basketball every night. And I was seriously considering maybe transferring out of Pratt and going to like RISD or something. But then one day I went to the corner bodega and they had this book in the, oh, look at that. It actually worked. That was a gift that I created for a subscription. Thank you, El Cabong, for gifting the subscription. Oh, thank you. And picked up a comic, this specific comic book, flipped through it, and was amazed by it. I remember Jim Lee when I was collecting comics as a teenager. Alpha Flight was one of my favorite books, and to see and that issue that came out, there was something instantaneously eye-grabbing about it, even though that style and this style and the style that Jim draws in today are slightly different. It instantly grabbed my eye, and when I saw that this is, I remember that the same guy that drew that book, the Alpha Flight book. Also found out that he was Asian American, and that he was fairly young. I think he was in his 20s, mid to late 20s, um, really inspired me to say, hey, maybe while I'm in New York, as I'm studying, come on, birdies, Daddy's talking. As I'm in New York studying architecture at Pratt, maybe I can take advantage of the situation, get a job drawing comics. Since Marvel and DC, all the major comic book companies were in New York City, and make a go of it at Pratt instead of transferring. And that's when I started asking around campus to see if I knew anybody that, a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend that was either interning or working at one of the major companies to get me a tryout plot to work from. This page in particular I remembered, well actually these 2 pages, you know, this book in itself, when you flip and watch and read this book, the pacing and the tempo and the art, one page after the other, excitement, one after the other. Did you guys see that? There's someone on my back. There we go. I think that's Beavis. It still goes if both of them are on my shoulder. Everybody wins. But man, opening sequence of this book, page after page, even this page, there's no, I mean, I guess you could say this is the money shot, but just this sequence down here, this 5-panel sequence, mesmerizing. You have an extreme close-up, mid pull back, but you still don't really see the action is actually happening off screen, off panel with the sound effects. Then we pull back wide again, up shot. And then again, a very classic Wolverine hunched over pose. And then you have a full crew, boom, double page spread. And then I remember this shot very vividly as well. And then Wolverine coming in. And so anyways, great book, great issue. Let's try to knock out some stuff, give out some prizes. There's a bird on my back. Flew away. Actually, you know what? I'll work on this Wonder Woman later, tomorrow. Give everybody a chance to maybe win a sketch today. Do a head sketch. Throw that out. Let me find a piece of 9x12. So Sean, what are you working on tonight? Batman Beyond? I saw a preview solicitation for a cover where Batman Beyond is fighting Batman. Is that true? Did he go back in time? Terry McGinnis. I said Ed McGinnis. Ed McGinnis, the comic book artist, go back in time. Page 12, panel 3. Okay. Whew. Let's see here. Which one of these characters in this book should I sketch today? Just that as a what was always I just don't remember this character's name, because also part of this Deathbird, I guess. Part of this was that I hadn't been reading any comics since maybe 10th grade. So 11th, 12th. So for like 2-3 years, I hadn't read any comics or collected. In high school, our teachers forbid us from drawing comics. We went to a fine art high school. They wanted us to focus on figure drawing, sculpture, painting, all the basic fundamentals. And then there's, of course, at the end, too, the story at the end, there's a reveal that Professor X is a bad guy. Gave it away. This book is actually 48 pages. You used to have the numbers on the bottom. 48 pages, probably like 30 some odd pages of art. Maybe oversized, I'd say. I don't know how many. 36 maybe of art. I mean, there's not that many ads in here. What if I drew this rogue? I always thought this rogue. This rogue with the armor? This almost like a Alien Legion kind of armor. You guys remember that book, Alien Legion, from DC Comics? I really like that. The design of the armor. Or didn't she have like some kind of other? This Magneto piece. Yeah. I mean, this book just has so many drawings in there that are just wow. I think there are a lot of books out there. Every now and then you hope, as an artist, as a professional, to have one of these kind of books. I thought I remembered that being Storm, but it's not. Uh-oh. I got a call. Time out. I will actually text them back. How about I draw, what version of this rogue would you call that with the armor and the headpiece? Yeah, like some of these characters I didn't even know when I picked up this book. Version of Magneto. Which one? The one that's flying? Yeah, but see, this version of Magneto, I mean, it's cool, but you'd really have to draw, like, the entire, at least almost the torso. Well, so with the Storm, but really to get that it's Magneto, because he has his helmet off. I mean, otherwise just a random dude. Gray hair, white hair. Just right now thinking about just headshots. Completely forgot Banshee was in this issue too. Forge is another favorite character. I mean, these panels, like the amount of characters that he's cramming in, along with the details. These are like those Russian helicopters. This was in like Rambo. What was it, Rambo 3? When he goes to Afghanistan. Remember that? Let's try to do this rogue. And this book got beaten up. I mean, I took this book everywhere with me. I think the last few drawings I've done, I've had the characters looking left. This time maybe I think I'll do like a mid-torso. El Cabone, you're in the East Coast? Gladiator. I'm gonna stick with this rogue this time. Um, I don't know. Maybe I should do the gladiator guy. What is his name? So Sean, do you have, when you're drawing, do you tend to, if you're just going to a default drawing, draw a particular direction that the face is looking towards? Do you find that? Is there a psychological reasoning for it? Oh, by the way, I sent Julia a message about something, which I thought was really funny. So if she gets it and she talks to you about it, it's like I'm kind of kidding around. So, but also not really. That's right. Yeah. Remember? Yeah. I just put the piece in the mail today. I gotta get the. It should take about 3 days. It's priority. I think Crispy, yours piece is gonna come maybe a little faster since you're also in California. I don't know. Did I just tell a secret that you didn't want people to know which state you lived in? Face to the right, so looking this way. Ah, birdies, you guys can go downstairs. It's about the bird's bedtime. Maybe a little bit past their bedtime. I've always thought that because I default drew the faces looking this way, it's like they're looking towards my heart. Mr. Joshua, you were so close to winning that sketch last time. El Capone got it easy. When he caught the stream, I didn't have the wheel yet. Now I've found this widget that has like a spinning wheel, like a wheel of fortune. That way now there's at least a probability. So Pratt pranks. Okay, so the one I was alluding to last time, Mr. Ramlo was on. Mr. Ramlo and I went to high school together. Mr. Ramlo is also a professional comic book artist, if not considered by most comic book pros one of the best comic book artists in the industry. So El Capone, you draw also to the right, this direction. Interesting. Not that great with Rogue's hair because I'm not sure how that hair works. So, anyways, last time I explained a prank that Mr. Ramlo had played, along with some other high school friends, had played on me. So here's a prank that we played. Gotta play that prank. Come here, butthead. This guy can see this butthead. Let me know if he poops on my shoulder. It's actually good luck. Right? If the bird poops. Ooh, something just happened. It's a really nice ring. Oh, look at this. You guys see Guppy barked. Something happened. Maybe a follower? So, this was early stages of, and again, if both birds land on my shoulder, right now there's one, both birds land on my shoulder, everybody that's on the stream right now wins a print. Even you, Sean Chen, even you. Although I might not sign yours. Uh-oh. You guys are so close. They're downstairs now. So, we're in our dorms. We're on AOL. Do you guys know AOL? Some of you do, but I guess some of the people that are kind of lurking might not know AOL. America Online. Is it America or American Online? America Online. America Online was that's how you access the internet back in those days. You had to insert a CD-ROM at a 14.4 modem. Modem would call a phone line, and then you get a kind of sound that would log you online. Phones at the time, there were cell phones, but they were like big bricks. If you wanted to text, you had to have one of these things. You can text somebody like a beeper. Beep, 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 beep. This was something that actually you didn't type in. You would call a number, and an human operator, you would tell them your message, and they would text it to. They would type it in, text it, and then you get a phone number. So this still works too, by the way. Just can't get any service. So, American Online. We were. Everybody was on. Hey, let's go on a chat. Let's go in the chat room. Let's try to pick up some girls on the chat room. Let's try to meet some, new friends on the chat room. And I had a Mac, and then my buddy that was directly below me also had a Mac too. So they're like, "Hey, let's do it in Bernard's room." I'm like, "Hey guys, I'm like finishing up a drawing. I was working at Valiant. Finish up a drawing. I'll join you guys in about 15, 20 minutes. I'm almost done." Right? So they're like, "All right." So they go down to my buddy Ivan's dorm room, and I can hear them downstairs. It's like 3 or 4 of them. But meanwhile, I had already finished my work. I just wanted to play the prank. So while they're signing on, I log on. I create a new account with a new name of Carmen Art. So, and then they're like, and then I find out what room they're in. Chat room. I think there were only like a few chat rooms back then. It wasn't like a ton. Or maybe I did a search for their name. I don't know. So I started texting them, chatting with them in the chat room. And because I knew they were out, we were all on there supposedly trying to meet girls. And so once I said, I messaged them like, "Hi, how you doing?" I could hear them downstairs yelling, going, "Yeah!" Because they thought they had struck gold. And then they're like, "Hey, how you doing? What do you do?" I'm like, I'm an art student." They're like, "Yeah." I'm like, I'm really into art. I like creative guys. Um, so, anyways, it was just hilarious because I can hear them all screaming and like, uh, basically, it was one of the first kind of catfish things. Um, and so this went on for like a few minutes, and it was just hilarious. I was just cracking up myself. Because I knew exactly what they were looking for, and like everybody's personalities. So, um, yeah. But then, like one of the guys came upstairs to my room, and he was like, "Hey Bernard, man, you gotta hurry up. We're talking to some chick online named Carmen Art. She's like an art student in New York City." And like he saw that I was on the computer. He's like, "What are you doing, man?" So. Uh, that was my prank. That was my Carmen Art prank. Yeah, we still laugh about that, you know. And then I mean, ironically, I think karma had its day. Later on in life, as I became an adult, I was catfished um, by in real life. So what goes around comes around. So let's see. I had another. Oh, let's see, another prank. This is not so much of a prank, but as kind of like a problem-solving ingenuity kind of thing. And again, you got to remember, this is 1990, maybe 94, 95. Nobody had cell phones. It was too expensive to get one of those brick phones. Um, no, I didn't get that far. I mean, once that guy came up, he found out the gig was up. But I mean, it was everyone laughed about it. But yeah, catfish wasn't even a term back then. So so the other time was like I would play. One of the first things I bought as a pro when I got my first paycheck from Valiant Comics. I bought a TV, Samsung 13-inch TV. I actually still have it. I never threw it out. It still works. So sentimental. The mask keeps falling off. Ski mask. I bought a small 13-inch TV and a Sega Genesis system. So my roommate at the time, Charles Richardson, had a Sega. We played a couple times. John Madden Sports Talk Football. I mean, not John Madden. Joe Montana Sports Talk Football. What a mistake. If you guys have played that game, you would know where that's from. Yeah, internet was still brand new. CompuServe, AOL. AOL lasted a little bit longer than CompuServe. CompuServe was mostly like message boards. Surprisingly, message boards are still very popular today. It's where we get our majority of our conspiracy theories. So I bought a TV, 13-inch TV. I went down to Canal Street in Chinatown, New York City. Haggled, got a TV for I think $100 some bucks, plus a Sega Genesis, plus Joe Montana Sports Talk Football. Altogether, I think out the door was like 200 something. Um, Carried that back to my dorm, heavy as hell. We didn't have cable, so we still needed a coat hanger wire antenna. Stick it to the window, so because my dorm was facing south, east, I needed to face it towards the city to get any kind of reception. But hardly watched any TV. The TV was really to play the Sega Genesis. And so after practice every night, we'd have basketball practice from 6 to 9. Bunch of guys would come over to my room, and we'd play video games. So after about a year of that, one of my good friends, again, Ivan, the guy that lived downstairs from me, his girlfriend, who he's actually married to her today, happily married, but his girlfriend at the time lived in Miami. He also went to the same high school I did. We had a lot of pretty talented people from my high school. And she would tell him, like, look, you got to stop playing video games in Bernard's room, because you gotta do your work. You gotta do your homework, right? No more video games. One day Ivan came to me. He was all sad. I'm like, dude, why are you so sad, man? He's like, I can't play anymore because my girl is like getting on me, and she's making me, I'm not doing my homework. She wants me to stay in my room. I can't hang out with the boys anymore. So I'm like, all right, look, dude. I mean, get your work done. I mean, if you're falling behind your work, obviously that's most important. But if you're caught up with your work, then I don't see why you can't play games with us. Usually the sessions would last from like 9, 10 o'clock. After practice, we eat dinner. So 10, 10:30, guys would start showing up in my room. We'd usually have like 3, 4, 5 guys in my room. It wasn't a big room. It was a bedroom. So we'd, have rotation, play, whoever wins stays on, and then the next guy in line plays and all this stuff. So I'm like, Ivan, don't worry about it. I got a solution to this problem. So you go back, do your work. Let me handle it. So I go down to the hardware store and I buy a phone line that plugs into the back of the phone. I buy the longest one that they had. It was like 20 something feet. So I come back in the afternoon. Outside my window. Well, actually, I saw him. I said, go to your room and look outside your window. All right? No. Actually, I took my broom. I had a broom. And I leaned down my window and I tapped his window down below mine. And I'm like, all right, open your window. And I dropped the phone cord down. I said, take this and then plug it in the phone jack in your wall. Right? And then come upstairs. He's like, are you sure? Are you sure this is going to work? I'm like, just plug it in your phone jack and then come upstairs. And then upstairs, when it came upstairs, I took the other end and I plugged it into my phone. So my phone no longer worked, but to my line, but my phone now became his phone. So I can tell he was kind of nervous playing, and then I was like, don't worry about it, man, it's all good. So sure enough, like 10:30, 11 o'clock rolls around and the phone rings. Everybody's quiet. Everybody's like, uh-oh. He picks up the phone. I'm like, dude, just pick up the phone. Don't worry about it. Just pick up the phone. Picks up the phone. He's like, hello? And it's his girlfriend. And she's like, are you in your room? And I said, Yeah, you're in your room. She's like, yeah, I'm in my room. Babe, if you don't believe me, call me back again. So he hangs up and calls back. And so it worked. This technique worked for almost an entire year until at the end of the semester when Ivan's girlfriend, now wife, came to visit him. Ivan's roommate snitched, and she found out that she had been. We had devised a plan to thwart her efforts. But you know, when you're young, man, you come up with these kind of like ideas. And I was Sean's roommate for a few years. A year and a half or so after that, after I graduated. I don't know, do we have any stories? This thing looks like it's trying to get a gauge on how this armor looks on Rogue. Yeah, so it was fun. I had another instance where the dorm rooms were basically at Pratt. I lived in a dorm building called Willoughby Hall. And Willoughby Hall was a converted. Now the shoulder straps looks different in these other drawings. I mean, it happens when you're drawing stuff sometimes. As you're working on another page, the drawing evolves or the armor evolves. It happens all the time. Just makes it a little bit more difficult, but so where was I? Oh, another Pratt story. This one's not so much of a prank. The second one kind of qualifies for a prank, but it was more pranking Ivan's girlfriend, now wife. And allowing him to continue to play video games with his boys. I mean, we took our video games very seriously. Again, this is Sega Genesis, 16-bit or 8-bit. Sega Genesis, 18-bit or 16-bit. It was very pixelated. Played Joe Montana, NBA Live, World Series. Only sports games. To the point where we even had tournaments where we would go down into the main common area. We had two TVs. Another buddy had a TV also and a Sega Genesis, so we'd have two different games going back and forth. Sang the national anthem before we played. I mean, it was pretty serious. And I still have the system, and it still works. Oh, and how can I forget NHL 95? NHL 95, which came out in 94. But NHL 95 was one of the all-time, that's the game we still play. My buddy Kadir comes over every now and then. He doesn't come over in a while, but when he does, that's the game. We still play that game. NHL 95. I don't know what about it. I mean, we don't usually watch hockey. I don't think Kadir knows anything about hockey. I mean, I used to watch at least a little bit of hockey. But it was, the gameplay was just incredibly fun. And Oh, I got another prank story. All right. Yeah. Plenty of stories. So, we took our video games very seriously. This armor is kind of weird. I'm trying to look it up. I mean, here it's like an M. Another part is like a. All right. I was gonna tell the other story. Which one would you like to hear? Another prank story, or um, a Pratt story, but not as pranky, more frustrating? Which one do you guys want to hear? Non-pranky story. Oof. All right. This might bring people down. I don't know. By the way, I just want to say, yeah, ended up drawing like our torso. I guess I could have done this with the Magneto. So sorry about that. Um, anyways, non-pranking story. Yeah, so we would have basically, so it was Willoughby Hall. It was like an old night built in the 70s. It was at first a apartment building. It was a regular apartment building. There was a whole row along the street of 3 or 4 other of the same exact looking building configuration, but those were all still private buildings, private owners. I think Pratt just bought this one, or maybe when they built it along with Pratt. I don't know, maybe bought it at that time. So the configuration was basically like a one or two bedroom apartment, condominium, except the living room would be 1 or 2 people sleeping in the living room, and then you'd have a separate bedroom with a door. So I always opted for the separate bedroom with the door. Um, I like to have a little privacy. Um, but one year I had a guy, the roommate. I think the only time I had a positive experience, actually 2 years I had positive experiences. Once was this guy named Yikai. Actually, I just bumped into him a few months ago prior to the lockdown. Um, he was a cool guy, and Charles. Um, I think it was Charles Richardson. The other times, I don't remember the guy's name. I had 2 other guys. One guy was this tall guy. I really disliked him. And the other guy was this, I think he was Korean. I also disliked him. Um, but anyways, back to the tall guy. So the tall guy was an RA. Was an RA? Resident assistant? I was going to say RN, but RA. And he was always like, "Hey, what's up, Bernard? How you doing?" Whatever. Like, whatever, dude. And he would go, and he had a girlfriend, but the girlfriend had a room. Her dorm room was in another building on campus, Pantis Hall. So he would go and sleep in her room almost every night. At least 4 or 5 nights out of the week. But he would leave his alarm clock on. And in the living room, it just ended up being him. There wasn't a second roommate in the living room, so he kind of lucked out because usually there's two people living in the living room because it's a big space. Um, but he would always leave his alarm clock on, and I'm usually working late because we'd have basketball and then we'd play video games, and I'd stay up and I'd have to draw a monthly book at Valiant. So I'd usually be up until maybe sun comes up, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, and then maybe catch a few hours of sleep. I'd always try to set classes after afternoon. I try not to get any 10 a.m. classes. The only time I would have to wake up in the morning is if we had two a days, like a basketball practice in the morning, and then a practice in the afternoon, or game in the afternoon, or game in the evening. So, but this guy would like leave. He would go and stay in his girlfriend's place, and he would leave his alarm clock on. And so, like, and he would leave it on. So, like around 9 o'clock, 8 or 9 o'clock, this alarm would go off, and it would also go off on the weekends. Especially on the weekends, he'd be like at her dorm, and I'd be like, "Hey, man," I think his name was Justin. I said, "Hey, Justin, can you like, please, you're gonna go stay with your girlfriend's place. Turn off your alarm, cause I need to get my sleep. I mean, I'm up late working. I got comics. I got a full-time job where I got homework. If you have other friends that are architecture majors, they're up around the clock anyways. Just please be a little courteous. You're an RA. You're supposed to set an example for us as regular students. So please just turn off your alarm when you leave. Because when it goes off in the morning, I can hear it in my room. And it does not go off. And I actually have to get up physically and then turn it off. So he's like, yeah. So anyways, a couple more days, this happens. And then one day I was just like so pissed off. I just got up and I smashed his alarm clock. And it felt so good. It felt like so good. It's like a cheap alarm clock. So, so the next day, that evening, he comes back in. I hear him come back into the dorm room. And he's like, I hear him like, what the fuck? And then he like knocked on my door. He's like, hey Bernard, you see what happened to my alarm clock? And I was like, nah man, what happened to it? Oh, someone must have come in and smashed my alarm clock. So, gosh, I thought I locked the door when I left. So the other RA, the main RA, because I think Justin was just an RA in training. The other RA got involved. And once the other RA got involved, I went up to the other RA and I said, look dude, I smashed his alarm. I've been complaining to him for a while now, all semester, to turn off his alarm. He goes and stays with his girlfriend's place. But it was me. I did it. And I'll get him a new alarm clock. I will replace the same exact alarm clock that he has, that I smashed. And I'll get him to him later today. So I went down to, and here's the kicker. He was telling the main RA dude, he's like, oh, Bernard needs to give me like $50. I think $50 or $75, something crazy. It's like, Bernard needs to pay $75 so I can get a brand new alarm clock. And I said, $75? That thing you had was like a little piece of shit. I'm not giving you $75. I'm gonna replace the same exact alarm clock that you had with the same functions, and I'll buy you a new one, but it's the same one. But I'm not giving you $75 because that's just crazy. I'm not gonna give you more money than what you paid for your alarm that you left on and didn't turn off after repeated warnings, and so that you can get a newer, nicer alarm clock with like a cassette player or whatever in it, because you just had one that just had, you had the little red digital lights. Basically, you set the alarm, and that was it. I don't even know if it had a snooze button. It was so basic. So I just went down to the corner store, saw the exact same. It was like brown with the ridges. It's like this big. Right? It's like like front had just the light, the time in the red letters, and then there's brown, like fake wood, brown ridges, and then I bought it, gave it back to him. Said, this is the exact one that I smashed. You put it right next to it. It's the same exact one, same functions, except it's brand new. I think that's fair. So he was trying to complain to the lead RA. Said, oh, my other alarm clock was this and that. I'm like, no, my dude, I'm going to get you a brand new one, but it's going to be the same one. I wonder what that guy Justin is doing today. Very few people in life I dislike. I say that a lot, but then there always ends up being somebody that I don't like. That's like if you got into a car accident, right? The insurance company, based on the value of your car, how old your car was, the insurance company is not going to give you the equivalent of a brand new car, unless it was like fairly new. It's totaled, right? There's certain exemptions. But this clock had been pretty used, pretty beat up. It's pretty worn out. So over time, there's depreciation. But I replaced it with a brand new, exact model. So if you didn't buy air conditioning, back then, air conditioning was an option in a car. Nowadays, it's like air conditioning is a standard. But if you didn't have air conditioning in your car and you wrecked your car, why would I be on the line to getting you a new car with air conditioning in it? No, probably shouldn't have smashed up. Probably shouldn't have smashed up his alarm clock, but okay, El Capone, thank you for the subscriptions. Have a good night. Thank you for watching today. Well, I've already been streaming for an hour. You know, when you're having fun, what do they say? Stay safe. Rhode Island. That's right. We talked about this deli in Rhode Island last time. Catch you next time on the stream. Crispy, when do you go to sleep? When is Jim streaming again? Oh, this thing was a face mask. So I think this headband is like a visor, something like kind of, and then all the other guys that had the armor died. The dinosaurs ate them. So there is this kind of face mask here, but, and I guess in this angle you can kind of see it. All right. All right. Not gonna. It's almost like Iron Man's face mask that comes up. Sean, when you draw, do you still make sound effects? Did you ever make sound effects? I mean, Jim has been extremely busy. You figure he is now the only publisher of DC Comics, along with the charity fundraising drive that he's doing. I think he still has 8 more drawings, plus there's a couple more that are guest artists. How does this connect? Gotta make it look a little dimensional. And he has these goggle things up on top. Goggle things. Are somewhat, it's looking like one of those droids from Star Wars. Sound effects, a lot. When I was younger, I used to make a lot of sound effects when I drew. You know, like spaceships, cars, explosions. You would have thought I was crazy. Alright, I'm going to take a little artistic liberty here, since Mr. Jim Lee did not define this as clearly. Unless these masks showed up in a previous episode, previous issue. I'm going to give like a little, like a catch tab that's going to catch here somehow when it slides down. I think Sean might have fallen asleep. It is almost 1 o'clock his time. Yeah, we used to stay up late, especially when I was in school. Architecture took up a ton of time. So not only architecture, but then having to draw a monthly book. Uh, but back then, I mean, I could operate on probably 4 hours of sleep a day, still maintain some kind of cognitive function. But nowadays, man, forget it. Okay, I think don't really have, here's a close-up of that. But nowadays, I mean, if I don't get 7 to 8 hours of sleep, the next day I'm wrecked. And I've been trying to not drink as much coffee. Trying to do it a little bit more natural, shifting a little bit more towards tea. But the tea just doesn't have the same kick. You know. Green tea. Actually, today I found some caffeine gum, and I'm still drinking coffee right now. It's getting kind of late, but I don't have. Oh, I do have water. Water jug. Okay. Does Rogue have a gun? Yeah, she has 2 guns. Yeah, this sketch takes a lot of looking at her mask. I'm not too happy on her mask. So, how about another Pratt story? Excuse me. Another Pratt prank story. Early Valiant story. What's an early Valiant story? I have a feeling Sean's gonna want me to tell a Valiant story that I'm gonna have to plead the fifth to. What's an early Valiant story? I used to go to work every day, or every time I'd go into the office. I would wear a tie for the first year or so. But then everybody in the office, all the other artists were like t-shirts, jeans. And I remember one particular summer, super hot weather was. By this time I had stopped wearing ties. I was just wearing normal clothes. I mean, normal clothes. It is normal clothes, but you know, a lot of artists don't really get dressed up to go to the studio. And we had a bullpen in Valiant, so Sean would go there fairly often. The first couple years I would work in my dorms, in my dorm room, and then really just drop off work. But in the summertime, when there was no school, I would go in and work in the studio. And there would be tables perpendicular to each other, be a couple rows, and then some rows that are facing the window, and then some that are perpendicular. And one day I'm in there in the studio working, and I'm drawing, and then all of a sudden I catch a whiff of this massive pungent BO. This body odor was just, oh! I was just shaking. I started drawing, my line was like, oh! By the time I looked up, there was no one around. I'm like, what the? Is it me? Okay, alright, I'm gonna go back. Sat back down, got back to drawing. A couple minutes later, boom! It's like getting socked in the face with BO. Boom! Oh. I looked up again. Nobody. There was no one around me. Like no one walked by. I'm like, oh, man. All right. I'm just gonna sit here. I'm just gonna sit here and watch, because otherwise there's a ghost in this office, and nobody's ever told me there's a ghost in the bullpen of Valiant. So I sat there and I looked and I waited, and I'm looking around, scanning the room, because production is like straight ahead. So in production there's maybe like, there's Darren, Randy, Scott, Ralph, 4, 5, 6, 7 different people. Editorial was over to the far left, and then all the artists were around here. I'm like, fuck, who the hell could this be? I'm looking, nobody's walking by, but then all of a sudden, boom, oof, I got hit again a third time. And I looked around, I'm like, man, there's only me. I think Sean's right here next to me. There's no way it's Sean. Sean doesn't smell. Sean has like zero body odor and zero body hair. So likelihood of having BO without body hair, maybe, possibly, but and I realized perpendicular to us was another artist working sideways in a tank top. And every now and then he would draw, and then he would lift up his arm. Like he would draw like this, and then he would lift up his arm and like draw another part of the table, and then go down and draw, and then every now and then lift up again and draw like this. That, when he lifted up his arm, that was when the body odor was coming from. I was like, wow, that's incredible. So, I don't know what happened afterwards. Exactly. So Sean, you remember that. I mean, there are things in life that you never forget. And those were one of the moments that just punches you so hard in the face. You know, when you get punched, you have like a tear. And it's not like you're crying, but it's just a natural reaction that you get punched in the face. Your eyes automatically water up to protect your eyes, right? You automatically get like a couple of tears. I was getting a couple of tears, and it has stayed with me. This is what, like 30 years later? 90, it was probably 94, 95. Probably 94. Yeah. So, I don't know if we ever told the guy. I think when I was younger, I was much more of a dick, so I probably did say something to him. Um, but nowadays, maybe, I don't know. If it was me nowadays, I might have just moved. Or worn a mask. Oh, that's right. Yeah. It's unfortunate. He is your Dennis Calero. He is Dennis Calero to me as he is to you. And actually, that guy and I were not good friends then, but because we would make fun of him. But then we kind of made up because I realized I was being a dick. But yeah, he shouldn't have thrown you under the bus. Was there another Valiant story that you were looking to tell, Sean? I mean, nowadays, I don't think there will ever be a situation at Valiant. There was a bullpen, like the old Marvel days, and where all the artists, the pencilers, inkers, colorists, letterers, along with the production team, would all work under the same roof in the same office. Now, granted, yes, there were other artists that were kind of more that didn't work in the office, but it was encouraged, especially for the younger guys and gals, to come in and work because Bob was there, Bob Layton. Barry was there for a little bit, Barry Windsor Smith. Along with Don Perlin was there. And Mark Moretti, the editors, they were all there so they could all help out. And also everyone would jam in on a project if there was under deadline. All the colors would kind of jump in because everyone kind of had a very similar. They all still used the Dr. Martens dyes, but the printing process allowed them to have the very watercolor variation feel as opposed to the old school where the old ladies would cut out the CMYK sheets to match the particular. Did we do that? That freaked them out, though. That freaked that guy out, right? The armpit guy. Because they were all like, I mean, I don't have anything against drugs. But back then, I was very adamant against not doing drugs. The only drug nowadays I will not do is I will not smoke pot. But I have nothing against pot, actually. I just won't smoke it. I've consumed it in an edible format, but I just will not smoke it. And again, I have nothing against marijuana. I actually feel most drugs should be legalized. I do believe in the legalization of marijuana. But for me, it's a personal choice. It's a test of my humanity to deny myself something that is readily available. To say, this is something that I know I can do, I can have, it's legal, I can choose to, but I choose not to do it. Not for anything else, not for health reasons, just I choose not to do it. A lot of people don't get that, but I don't know. Crispy, do you get it? Maybe not. It's a test of my humanity, of my willpower. So we started a rumor that at the time Valiant was going to be bought out by Acclaim. And Acclaim was very corporate. So Is that what happened? I I I want to say we played a good amount of pranks in the office. I just don't know if my memory is that good. And I don't know if it's because of the quarantine, the coronavirus lockdown, or old age, or I don't know. But those were very special times. To have formed a bond with such amazing artists, all the other guys in the, what they were called Knob Row, the younger guys, younger artists, writers, we really felt like we were in a mission, a team mission at that time. And Valiant at that time was a very small company, but with very limited resources, we were able to compete with Marvel and DC and Image. I want to vaguely remember something about moving the tables around at some point. We did that, huh? We got like the plastic cups that you would actually have to pee in. Shh, man, I don't. That's a funny prank. Especially if you if you knew those guys. I mean, everybody was a huge pothead, right? So I think it probably freaked a lot of people out. This is a 1994, 94, 95. Did we get in trouble? I vaguely remember thinking that we got called into the principal's office. I know I got called into the principal's office for something else once. I just don't remember what it was. Summer of 94, Sean Chen and I did the Deathmate tour. Was it 94? 93? 93? Started 92, 92, 93. Summer of 93, we did the Deathmate tour. Image and Valiant were the two hottest companies in comics. Image, of course, started by Jim Lee, Todd McFarlane, Eric Larson, Jim Valentino, and Rob Liefeld. And Wilch Portasio. Am I missing anyone? So the two companies decided to I got into trouble for pushing Mr. Armpit too far. Then he freaked out and threw his bike and ruined Shanna's coloring job. Probably. I was I was a dick back then. I mean, I probably still am a dick, but I could see myself doing that. I just don't remember it. I vaguely remember getting into trouble over something like that. And I think we had like the plastic pea cups that I don't know how did you get them? How were we able to get the cups? Um, yeah, but obviously, those guys back then, marijuana was still an illegal substance. Um, you could be thrown in jail. I mean, there are still people in jail serving jail sentences for possession of marijuana, not even selling. And so, yes, I think everyone was on edge. And then it led to Shanna's work being messed up. I got the cups to scare the team. I might have done that. I was the captain of the basketball team, and there was one season where we were having problems with people showing up to practice. So I made everybody shave their head bald. And there was one guy with these huge dreads, and I felt bad. I was like, man, those dreads took a long time to grow, but he eventually showed up. A couple days later. The next day he didn't show up. He kind of resisted it, but then like a couple days later, he showed up to practice, and I was like, holy fuck, he shaved his head. Wow, okay. But then he didn't even finish out the season. So I felt bad. Make a commitment, but then you didn't finish out the season. Maybe he was just looking for a way out of the. So maybe I had those left over. Wow. Oh, I was the coach. So then that must have been 96. 95, 96. That's hilarious. I wish I remember that. I could do that. I could pull that off more often. Yeah, I can imagine Mr. Armpit being like freaking out. He was always very anxious. He did stick up for me one time. And I think I was unusually cruel towards him. Wow. Those were the days. Did we catch? We didn't catch the guy that was stealing all those comics in the back. You caught him? Did you catch him, Sean? I want to say that there was some kind of like theft. Well, there was another thief that later on became a thief at Marvel, stealing original artwork. Right, and then selling them on eBay or something, and then getting caught, and then now forever banned. I think usually a lot of times when you're drawing characters, there's always room for creative interpretation. I think it depends on the situation here. Since this is just a random sketch, obviously feel like I have more leeway. If this was a page in the current run, let's say this is 275 and I was drawing 276, I would feel more beholden to stick with whatever design that was established before. But because this is a sketch, giving a little bit of leeway for artistic expression, so I'm not following exactly to the T what Jim Lee had created and designed. Oh yes, Turok Gold. I mean, a box is what, 200 copies in a box? 200 copies of a comic book in a box. A gold comic is about $100 at least. So somebody stole a whole box of that. So Valiant back then, as a sales incentive for stores and customers as well, if you were like a big Valiant fan and you did something special, like, I don't know, held a Valiant party at your local comic book store, took pictures of it, the marketing department would send you a gold comic. So it's the same cover. Let's say this was the Valiant comic, except this logo would be in gold foil. Everything else is the same, but the gold foil cover, and that was a major difference. Initially, they only made a very few amount, but it became a highly sought-after collector's item, and the marketing team would use it as a, like a loyalty-based incentive, also a sales-based incentive for stores, retailers that really help support the brand. But for collectors and fans, it was all the rage. And all the other companies began copying that kind of method and issuing their own kind of almost gold, somewhere like platinum. Eventually, Valiant had chromium covers, where the entire cover was made out of a metal foil. So let's say 200 times 100 is what? 2,000? Is that it? No. $20,000. Yes, I'm not very good at math. Plus, I'm extremely tired. It is way past my bedtime. I've been going to sleep like around 7. I actually got to go check in on the birds. It's 10. Oof. All right, I got some more Pratt prank stories, but I will save them till next time. Gotta have more incentive for people to come back, right? Is there a name for this version of Rogue? This is not Savage Land Rogue. I mean, there's a different Savage Land Rogue, right? That she's wearing like skimpier clothes. Because here, in this scene, her armor gets kind of chewed up by the dinosaur. So then by the end of this fight sequence, I think, well, no, it's still looking like it's intact here. Here she's fighting, okay. Shields, armor, he is half naked now. Magneto. Yeah, her armor gets pretty much blasted off. So I think in the next issue she shows up in like a skimpy kind of outfit here. So maybe I'll make this like a battle damaged. Well, yeah, so if I'm going to sleep at 7, I'm getting up like at 3 o'clock, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Get my day started pretty early. I mean, I'm really like an old man now. If I'm getting up at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I used to be very fast too. Now the speed at which I draw is considerably slowed. No longer as efficient as I used to be. I've been saying I want to do like quick sketches, but these things always end up being more detailed. Oh, hey, Crispy. I have a tech question for you. How do I get sometimes I get up that early. Sometimes I also get up that early and then I go back to sleep. Or I'll get up that early, but then maybe like around 9, 10 o'clock I'll take a nap. Not really a nap. I try to meditate, but the meditation usually turns into a nap. But it's like a 20-minute nap. 20-minute meditation session. But that's been this week. Oh. I can't sleep for a very long time. Sometimes I've slept for 24 hours. Tech question is if I wanted to get you or Sean to talk while I'm talking on the stream. I've seen that on somebody else's stream where they've had other people also voice in. Is that some kind of special app or widget? I have Streamlabs widgets. That way it can be a you can hear like multiple voices. I think her neck is too long. Raise the clavicle a little bit. So do that in OBS by rerouting desktop audio to the stream. So I would add on OBS from sources, I would need to add another but I saw like on theirs, like a little icon would pop up in the corner of whoever's talking. So whoever was talking at the time, their icon would light up too. So you could tell that, oh, you know, Crispy Egg Roll, you're talking. And then, oh, it's Sean talking. Oh, Discord, yes. So I would have to set that up in Discord. Okay, I'll have to look into Discord. I have a Discord channel. But all these programs. But sure enough, hopefully one of these days I'll get at least some proficiency. There were all these grand things that I wanted to do initially when I first started, but then right now as it is, every episode I have to set up a new overlay and thank you screen and all that stuff, and that's already kind of becoming a pain in the butt. I mean, I guess the overlay I just like having like it doesn't reach, but having it say the channel number, the episode number and everything. Can you guys hear the bicycles in the background? I know if Sean heard it, he would be extremely excited right now. Yeah, I can hear him in the background. They're racing out in the streets tonight. Alright, I think I'm... A, I've kind of run out of stories. Although I do have some, but I just want to save it for next time. B, my eyes are getting kind of tired. Yes. I have like a whole bunch of different for Zoom, but you know, green screen things. I got these glasses. And then if I were to, let's say, have this, right? So now I'm like kind of Mr. Invisible. I still got something. You just see a mouth. The thinking with this is then I can superimpose Jim Lee's head here, right here, and I would just use my mouth. So it'd be like a still image, and then my mouth would move. So then I'd get like more followers, you know, to watch my stream. Although the beard does kind of get in the way, but it's also funny. Yeah. It's also like a ghost. I'm like the invisible artist. Yeah, I'll finish the stream this way. I mean, sure, everybody has a green screen. But who has also a green mask and green sunglasses? Sunglasses are not like great because it's catching a reflection from the lights. During the day, it's a little bit better. Yeah. How are we doing here? The hair. I'm not really good with this kind of long hair. I really don't know how to end it. I don't get the reference, Sean. Is that a movie reference? I want to say it was like a movie reference, but actually the green sunglasses are helping. They're supposed to be like mood altering. Oh, I never saw that movie. Was it good? The old one that was in black and white, or the new one? Wasn't there like recently like a new one? Yeah, I think here I'm gonna make it like her armor is kind of like damaged. Like again, there's some like a raptor or something. She survived an initial attack, but part of her armor is damaged. I always like battle damage. Gives it a sense of don't know, like when the Enterprise in Star Trek had the battle damage on the hull and on the saucer section. I always thought that was like super cool. Why? How are you doing? Welcome to the stream. You're catching the tail end. I'm going to try to wrap this baby up. Every stream I've been doing has been 2.5 hours. About. They start out with the intention of maybe being 1 hour. And I get too carried away. What part of the planet are you based in? Why? Yes, thank you for joining. Today we are drawing Rogue from Uncanny Xmen number 275. I guess here she's a SHIELD operative. And this is maybe an unseen scene after the helicopter has crash landed in the jungle. Rogue's body armor has suffered some slight battle damage. Surprisingly, SHIELD is wearing less clothing than her. Or Sergeant Fury. Agent Fury? Sergeant Fury? Sergeant Fury is the Army character. I gotta figure out where this hand is. Come on. I need to... What do the guns look like? I'm going to have to dig into the old playbook and throw in some dust. San Diego. Nice. Hey, is this weekend San Diego Comic-Con? Oh, that's next week. That's next week. I actually found my badge from the very first San Diego Comic-Con I've ever been to. Just gonna wait until the show to post, and then I'll throw it out. I've been trying to Marie Kondo a little bit my life, my studio, my home. I find that I've saved a lot of stuff over the years. Might not have been necessary. Especially now, I could just take a digital picture of it. It'll last forever. 1992. first San Diego Comic-Con. Went as a aspiring young buck. Left with an offer from Valiant, Bob Layton. Ended up working at Valiant later that fall when I got back to New York. Sean actually already started drawing. Sean, you were hired. Were you hired at the San Diego or you were hired before the San Diego? Were you at the San Diego Comic-Con itself? I think I've asked you that, but I don't remember. I always have in my head that you were already, by that time, you were already working at Valiant. Oh, I'm going to have to take off these glasses because I can't see. Oh. Hired asset. So you were there. We were at the same San Diego. Huh. What day did you go show your work to the Valiant guys, to Barry? I went on a Sunday. Back then, the show was August, early, mid-August. I think around the Spider-Man movie, first movie, Spider-Man movie days was when it moved to July. Why you should later on tune back in. We had a couple of good stories about pranks that we would play back when I was at Pratt and at Valiant. You were hanging out with Dave Mazzucchelli. Mazzarski came to ask Dave to work for Valiant. He said he wasn't going to do mainstream, but then suggested you. Mazzarski brought you to, oh, wow. Sean, how did you get to meet all these pros? You used to hang out with Chris Sprouse, Dave Mazzucchelli. Man, you were super well connected. I mean, Mazzucchelli, Batman Year One, but Daredevil, gosh, stuff. Jay Lee too, right? Yeah, what's up? This was all in Maryland. Was it Bethesda? What was going on in the water over there? I'm trying to figure out her arm piece. Looking at some of the other artists. Oh, she had a sword at one point too. Wow. She had an elbow. Oh. getting very tired. Hold on. Pop. Oh. Pop's still doing a lot of stuff. Pop man. Always has a smile, that guy. I don't know how he does it. He always has a smile every time I see him. Pop man. I think these guns are just... Wow, I'm actually adding background elements to this. I gotta give this away? Alright. Who wants to win this sketch? I'm done. I can't draw anymore. I'm too tired. My eyes are like, I can't read. It's getting blurry. So, who wants to win this sketch? If you want to be considered to win the sketch, submit your name or type something in the comments right now. We got the little wheel going on here. I think it worked out pretty good last time. Let me go back to the widgets. Spin wheel widget. Ooh, this is hot. Okay. Spin wheel widget. Clear categories. Crispy, since you won last time, let's see who else is on here. Mr. Joshua. Okay, here we go. Mr. Joshua. Okay. Sean. Sean, you can win this piece. Crispy, you can win this piece, but you only get one. One slice. You know, I mean. And why? Okay, why? Let's see why. And then obligatory, I gotta have Beavis and Butthead. Beavis and Butthead, they have an opportunity to win. Okay, let's see. What color would you like? I'm just going to select some random colors for everyone. Should we do a Okay. All right. Everyone gets one. Let's see. Okay. Hold on. Add this and then. Here we go. Okay. You guys see the wheel? That's a little too easy, so I'm going to add some more. Oh, Yoshi? Okay. Well, do you want to sign up? Have you been watching the stream but just been staying quiet? If you want, I'll throw your name in there. You just got to follow me. I mean, the odds are pretty good that you're going to win. Let's see. Let's add. Okay. Mr. Joshua, I'm going to give you 3. Sean, I'm going to give you 2. Crispy, you get 1 since you've won already. Y, you get 3. Beavis gets 2. Oh, Beavis just gets 1. Butthead gets 1. All right. Let's see. Oh, it didn't change it. Oh. I know what I gotta do. Okay. There we go. Okay. Sean, you get 2. Way. You get 3. Okay. And then I just shift it around a little bit. I mean, Crispy, if you win it and you only have 1 slice, that's pretty good odds, man. Right? So let me move Y up a little bit. Yoshi Michi, did you want to enter? Last call. Last chance. It's free to enter. Type something. Oh, yeah, I'm not shipping it to Japan. Sorry, dude. Well, I mean, I guess if you win, I might be going to Japan at the end of the year. I'll sign you up. I'll give you 1 slice. I'll give you 1 slice. All right? I'll give you 1 slice. Yoshi, have we met before? Okay, let me add Yoshi. Add category. Okay, oops, nope. Let's get rid of that one. And then add a, okay. Let's take a look at the wheel now. Okay, Yoshi, if you win, I'm gonna have to, I can't ship it out right away. I actually might have a shipment going to Japan later this month, so I'm gonna put it in that one if it goes, or you're gonna have to wait until the end of the year when I go to Tokyo. All right? Okay. I know this is way past Crispy's bedtime, so I am just going to spin the wheel once. This is last call for entries. Last call for entries. I'm going to spin the wheel once. Right now it's on Butthead. Whoever wins gets the piece. Drum roll, please. Spin. Who's blue? Sean. Sean Chen wins. All right, Sean, it's yours. You can give it to your son. Well, I want to thank everyone for joining us today. Crispy, thank you so much. Wei, thank you so much. Y, thank you so much. Yoshi, Mr. Joshua, I'm sorry you did not win. You had 3. Next time, I'll give you another slice. Next time, you get 4 slices. All right. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening. 2 hours, 24 minutes. I'm pretty consistent on 2.5 hours, almost. In the old days, I'd finish a page by now. But sleep tight. I'll try to stream again on Sunday, maybe. But I gotta cut these sketches down a shorter amount of time frame. So, but thank you again, and stay safe. And I better not see this on eBay, Sean. I'll be extremely pissed. Not that it's going to be worth anything. But... oh, that reminds me, there's another prank. We played a Sean Chen San Diego Comic-Con prank. I will save that story for next time. Sean Chen San Diego Comic-Con prank. One of the best pranks of all time. I will save for next time. Until then, good night. Peace out.